Well, it's another day of the ratchet shifter. Now, I know you guys hate this ratchet shifter and this nice original Nomad, but I think I made a change that'll suit it. Am I right? I mean, come on, that just looks good. So now we got the ratchet shifter. We got the giant scoop. Okay, I'm just joking. I'm not gonna run this scoop. That just seems a little ridiculous, right? That's the scoop we're gonna run. The 2-lane blacktop scoop. I got this on trade because, well, I can't turn down a hood scoop. I'm a sucker for a scoop. Oh, gentle. I don't want to break this. It's like pristine. Someone broke it off that hood real nice like. Today's plan. All that's got to come off. Flip it upside down. We're going to paint the underside of the hood a nice semi-gloss black. Then we're going to start working on the inside. So, got to pull the carpet up because it's not good. And then I think I have a set of bucket seats. We're going to pull those out. Put in the ratchet shifter. I want to have this thing start off the key. We're going to get that going. We're going to jack it up in the air to hook up the transmission. Look, 2 hands, sweet. Get the transmission all hooked up with that kit and measure for a drive shaft, because that's important. I've ordered a radiator, I've ordered a transcooler, all that stuff. The only thing I'm missing is a belt drive and an alternator and a bracket. And to see how today goes, I might run down the speed shop and see what they got in stock for this. So that way next week it should be running and driving. We're still waiting on brakes. Christmas holiday shipping is killing me, but we're getting there. So I'll get this flipped over, I'll get it painted, and then we'll come back and we'll see all the progress we're making. Okay, so the hood, it's not bad, still a little tacky in a few spots, but I think it turned out pretty darn okay. Stupid airline. Anyway, I got under the dash here, and I had to drill out this because it was not working. And unfortunately, everything seems to be okay, but it's got a locking pin, and it's just stuck. So it's supposed to go over and then not come out. So I got to get in there and see if I can fix it. Or, you know, I did order one of these from a 55 Chevy, my sedan. So I can probably just do that. This is a new key I had. It's actually for a 57. It's got a different design, but it works. So either I got to find another one, or I think these are like, I don't know, 50 bucks on eBay. So now what's left is these wires here. We have to get them all snipped and onto the back of the switch. Assuming this switch even works, that is the reality. This could be junk. So we'll try that. That'll give it power, and we'll run power to the fuse block. But that'll be good. And then while I'm at it, I might do these ones here. Terminate all these so it fits on the column, which is right here. So we get that going, then we're kind of set for it running off the key. Everything else is lights and accessories and all things we really don't care about. Race cars don't need that stuff. So I think I will start getting this terminated. It's pretty simple. I'll just look up a wiring diagram. Oh, actually, you know, it might even say what these are here. Yeah, so like this one here says Sol, so that'll go to starter, battery, ignition, accessory, ignition 1. So I assume these ones here will have power on, like key on. That'll be on trigger for the starter. This will probably be just on 1 click for like radio and whatnot, and then this will be constant power. Simple. So I'll see what all this junk is, and we'll get her together. Oh, see, that's the problem we're gonna run into. But it has the locking ring, which is nice. These are kind of pricey and harder to find. And it's got, oh, where did I put this? This is all nice stuff to have. So I'll put this somewhere where I'll lose it, and then buy one off eBay when I can't find it. Oh, and I got this seat. I had 2 seats. This one here, it's not bad. It's had a mouse go through it, so they kind of stunk. I'll have to make some sort of bracketry for it to fit. I think this is out of a 65, maybe, Chevelle. Either way, we'll get them in. I did pull the carpet ahead, and I think that's all I've really done. Been a little bit lazy, but I think I can get that. Then we'll probably have to do a parts run and get bolts, so I'm not gonna have long bolts. I want to have the seat exactly where I want it before I put in the shifter, because that has to be optimally placed. So we'll get this dialed together, come right back. Ugh. This has been an absolute debacle. Now the problem we ran into, everything was good. Well, first of all, actually, the main power wire we wanted, which is this one right here, wasn't crimped, so I had to take it all apart, put it in there, and re-crimp it. That was a hassle because you got to get it without breaking all the little pins, but I got that. This switch, I think 55 is a little different than 56 and 7, so I had to make a little pigtail for this situation. So these two here, so that's power in from the fuse block, which is constant. Now the fuse block does have, obviously this goes through a fuse in the block, and the fuse block has a fuse right from the battery. This one then goes, this is like brakes, hazards, stuff like that. So this is also constant power. So it's constant in, constant out. And obviously this spade, or whatever you want to call it, powers the switch. These two are accessory. We currently don't have them hooked up, but that'll be something we'll figure out down the road, like radio and whatever. We might, well, that's what it would have factory been, but we'll probably just run it off the block. This being old technology. This wire here only has power on trigger. This wire here has power on accessory, so key on. And which I actually could put right here now that I think about it. It's irrelevant. The problem we ran into was, this is the coil wire, so that's powering the distributor. And this lug here, I can actually undo it maybe and see if I can do this now that I have both hands. So we have, okay, so key is on. So we have power here, here, everywhere. Now if we disconnect this, this will be our trigger. This new Tesla I got, it's handy. It's got a little, where is it? It reads. So there we go, that's only on the crank. Now this one here should have power, well, it doesn't, but I thought it should have had power all the time. It's hard to find a little light there. But it has power only on crank as well. So what I did, because this wire has to have constant power, it has to be obviously when you're running and when you're cranking. If this is ever hooked up wrong, guys will do that. Well, they'll be cranking their car and it'll, like Dodges did this, where it'll crank and only run on crank. So it has like a ballast resistor, but that's what it would have done here. Well, it would have done the opposite of that. So now when I put this in, it tricks this wire into having power on crank and on regular accessories. You know, this one here, I can just move here. This is like a, it's like a Jenga block here. Anyways, I do that, and then I do this. This will crank over. I forgot I was going to start it right now, but this wire here isn't terminated, so I'll have to terminate that. But so everything works there. So that's all good. Now what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to terminate this end to the distributor, just put a spade on it. We'll hook it up and we'll come back, do the exact same thing, but it'll run. So this is the pink wire. I left it long, just kind of haphazardly terminated it, but that now goes to the distributor, so that powers it. That's what we were using. I don't know where I put it. I had a little jumper. I must have dropped it. The jumper was going right to the battery. We hot wired it. I sprayed a bunch of miscellaneous fuel in this thing. It's got no throttle linkage and other things. So we'll see if she barks to life. I am confident. Ready? No. And shut off with the key. Yeah. It goes. That's probably hard on it. But, yeah, she works. So, we got the ignition switch working, so now we can, you know, zip tie that up, or I can actually put it in with the little key fob thing. Actually, you know what? That'll probably work. I don't know. Anyways, we'll get this kind of cleaned up a little bit. I'll put the seat in. We'll have to do some measuring. I do have to get some bolts for that. We might have to run out and get some bolts. And we'll put the shifter in and make a pile o' progress. But yeah, she's a runner now. Let's see if the hood's dry yet. I'm thinking it's pretty good. The one thing I did notice, you have to weld a nut in there. It's missing the little nut cert, but that's irrelevant. I don't know if I have hood hinges for this thing. Hopefully they're in its box, or in a box, or may have some downstairs. I must actually, because these fenders and that hood came off my 55, which I put a flip front end on. So there should be some hood hinges, you'd think, with that. Let's go back years. Anyways, I'm gonna get cleaned up a little bit in there. We'll get the seat kind of haphazardly put in. I'll show you why I need some longer bolts. We'll get her dialed. So instead of putting the seat in, we got sidetracked on wiring, and then Danny wants to go for a ride. So
in a car.
In a car, yeah, not just a bicycle. So I got all these wires hooked up now. You'll be able to see on camera, but they do line up for the most part. White to white, green to green, yellow, purple, brown. And then where it gets just a little weird on this one here, or maybe it's the harness, I'm not really too sure. Black is horn and gray is one of the signals. And on this car, on this wiring harness, it's light blue and green. But I just Googled a wiring diagram, and you can just kind of match the wiring diagram of the column to the wiring diagram of the wiring harness. And this should all just snap together now. Should all just snap together now. Snap together now. So that should be good. So now that's all together, we can kind of start zip tying this out. It looks like an absolute mess yet. We're getting there. Everything works. I just put the switch in. Oh yeah, the battery's disconnected. But that's all together now. So yeah. Man, so much junk. Anyways, so let's take a break, but let's go fire up the car, let it warm up. We gotta take the only vehicle we ever drive. It's actually like cold today. It's like 20 below Celsius or something. Old plow truck. Oh yeah, I got that fuel tank. That's a fuel tank for your car, I think. A genuine Canadian cold start. Back at her. Car is on stands. I've got the seat gently in there now. I put enough bucket seats in these Tri-5s to kind of know where to start, or where I like to have them placed. Typically, the seat is kind of more far forward. Now, this is a little weird. For me to be comfy, I'm going to be right behind this B-pillar, and man, your head is up in there. So I guess you could maybe cut the tracks a little. It doesn't feel like it's that high off the ground. Well, it is what it is. So the seats in there is kind of level, and the big thing I always find is get behind it and give it a little eyeball and make sure you got the seat center in the wheel, so you're off the side. Sat in it, I'm all good. With seat all the way back, I can fit it. With seat all the way forward, Danny can fit it. That's the old rule of thumb. Now, what I do is I have this 1x1, it's quarter wall, it's pretty thick. I use for spacers, and then typically like a 4x4 under the back is pretty good, so I'll cut well, I'll be 3.5 inches. 2 of those and put it in, so it'll be on like kind of pedestals, and once it's in there I'm happy with it. You can just bridge them all together and it gets it lots of strength, and it's not going nowhere. But really, we're just going to go ahead and get this cut, get 2 more pieces in, and then we can kind of carry on with installing the shifter, because that's important. That's coming up next. And then once the shifter's in, do the other seat. I might just do that kind of on my own because it's boring to watch the second time around. I did get the rest of the kill mat in on the wheel tub and in that area, because that's all welded and seam sealed. So the whole thing is done. A bunch of guys are going to be added to it. I should do the wheel, like the tub, the well, and the corners. I'll probably do that at some point. So this is now where the carpet basically is going to be. It's locked in. We don't have any sill plates. I got to find a set. Just, I think they're standard 2-door ones. I'd hope, anyways. But I don't want them in permanent yet, because I'm going to have to kind of do this while I weld in there and put like a fire blanket and all that, because nothing in here is taken care of. But I'll build those 2 stands real quick. We'll get some bolts in them. That's what I went to get, is just some long 4-inch bolts to get it in there enough that it's held down. Then we can pull the carpet, put the shifter in, get that hooked up, measure for a drive shaft. And I did find in my miscellaneous bin, I don't know if this is Tri-5 or not. It looks like it'll work. It's throttle kind of linkage. So we'll just need to put a spring on it to somewhere, which is irrelevant for right now. But then the throttle will work from inside The ignition will start from inside. If we get brakes, the brakes will work from inside. And yeah, with a couple of seats in here, it's pretty sweet. So I just kind of, you know, put a level on it, give it a little eyeball, do what you gotta do. Once it's in, you don't want it to be all crooked. More than anything, it'll feel shitty when you're driving. These seats are, you've seen better days. They look probably nice on camera, but right here, the spring's coming through on both sides, and then you can see where it might have got a small amount of mice damage, so I'll get the vacuum in there and get it all out. But it's been sitting for a year, so they don't stink at least. They're a little sacked out. A couple of t-shirts on there, she'll be fine. Okay, seats in. I need some longer bolts. I need some 5-inch bolts. So the 4-inch ones were barely enough, or no, I had a 5-inch, but that's all I had. So it's in there 3 out of 4, so it ain't bad. I got the shifter just kind of roughed in with the wires for backup lights and neutral safety. I don't know what I'm going to use there, but put the wires in just cuz. So that's all taken care of for now. I also modified that throw rod. I had to cut it in half and re-weld it. It was too long, but I think that'll work. It does its thing. Obviously we don't have a return spring, so we got to actually the rod going through the firewall is kind of stiff, so I sprayed some lube on it, but might have to come apart, which is a bit of a hassle. But yeah, you know, it's not as tight on this one. On the LS and the big block, it's terrible getting it out. But take it apart, grease it, put it back together, and kind of keep giving her. I put a yoke in the transmission. We'll measure up for the drive shaft tomorrow after we get bolts, and I think that's it. Keys and ignition, that should work. Oh, I might tomorrow put in the fuel filler. I found one which I think can work. Put it in, put some fuel in the tank, and then see if it'll actually run off the tank, because I mean everything else is taken care of now. So we got a lot going on. I don't have a return spring, I don't think. I'll have to look. But yeah, we're making progress. A radiator, a belt, an alternator, and a drive shaft. And I mean rear brakes. We could pinch the brakes off, but rear brakes. And she's a running, driving 55 Nomad. But it's Saturday night. I get ready because live stream. Hopefully you're there. And yeah, we'll be back at it tomorrow morning. See you later. Next day, did just a couple of housekeeping items. So you got the seat kind of bolted in, so not bad there. Yeah, good enough. All I did, so it looks like the wiring's a lot more cleaned up. All I did was I put the mount, or the fuse block, up on the firewall, and I put a pile of zip ties and everything. So that's for our steering. We can get that kind of taken care of. This will be, I think it's brakes, yeah, brake switch, everything, so that'll be under there. And that leaves just this, which will be for the gauges and whatnot. Everything else tucked under here. And there you go. So it's pretty simple. I pulled all the other wires under the hood all the way forward. So just like that. I found a carb return spring, so I put that on. So now we actually, I mean, when I put it on, I just put it in some miscellaneous hole, so it's not perfect. It's got some little torque on it. But that's enough now that we can fill the flip bowls and do some revving while sitting in that seat, holding that steering wheel and using the actual gas pedal. So that is going to be pretty sweet. I also have the shifter all hooked up. I did go underneath and I got that done. So you can, it does its thing. So yeah, that's first, second, third, and you can go between those two without the lock, and then reverse, and then park. I have my wires here for neutral safety and backup lights if I end up putting those in. I'm not gonna put the cover on just yet because I feel like this might have to come out again or whatever. Carpet's a little bunched up, we gotta pull it around, do our thing. But yeah. So now what we're gonna do, hop under. I'll show you how to measure a drive shaft, because we have to get that taken care of. There's just a real few things you want to do. Step one, have it on the suspension jacked up. Don't have it where the rear end is hanging, so we have that already. So essentially, even though it's up on stands, this is ride height. We got it under the control arms in the front and on the axle in the rear. so the driveline angle will be fine. So we'll crawl under there, we'll do a quick measurement so we can get that dialed tomorrow. I think we'll get out and we'll fire it back up because that'll be fun, right? And then all we gotta do is make the drive shaft. We can torque converter to the ring gear, drive shaft in. I think I need to put a speedometer piece in it because I don't have that. And then it should move forward and back. Other than any back brakes, so that's a bit of a pain. But yeah, we're getting there. Hey guys, I'm in the car here. So it's cold, so it means it's cold down here. I've been avoiding this job a little bit. It's supposed to get warm in a few days. Anyways, so what we gotta do is set the drive shaft. The light down here is just terrible too. We're gonna go from the yoke back to the axle. Now I already have the yoke where I want it. Now yoke's very simple. This is a spare one. But you can kind of see where this, it had this ride line on it. So that's probably about an inch or so, but you want to put the yoke into the transmission probably 3/4 of an inch or an inch or whatever it may be. And that's going to be your neutral position. So then as the rear end travels up, the yoke's actually going to push into the transmission, so it'll do that. And then as you drop the rear end, like going over train tracks, it'll do that. So you want to have that kind of 3/4 of an inch. That's on cars, I don't know, trucks may be different. But you can see how much engagement you're still going to have. There are two kinds. Oh, you can see in there. This is a fine spline. There's also a coarse spline. But everything you're going to deal with is going to be fine spline for the most part. So, on this unit here, you'll see we have it. Oh, this is a brand new yoke. About 3/4 of an inch. Now you got to be careful when you're measuring. You want to make sure you tell the guy what you're doing. So I always measure center to center. So you got to kind of, when you get your tape measure, you'll be kind of taking half of the cup out and starting about there and going backwards. That's the plan. Now this is your standard kind of 1310 generic U-joint. There's a few different ones. I mean, more common, 1310, 30, and 50 all just get bigger and beefier. This don't need nothing special. And at the back, same idea. Get a little closer here. You want to measure from the center. Now, it's not quite the center, but I always just go to the surface here where the straps are going to be, because there will be a couple of straps holding in the U-joint. So we'll measure from there to the center of the yoke, and that'll be our measurement. So I'll get that taken care of. We'll write it down so I don't forget it. Measure it twice because it's easier to shorten, but most driveline shops don't have a tubing stretcher, so you end up having to buy a whole new tube, so that's a pain in the ass. Okay, so we're ready to go. I wrote the measurement on there, so I'll drop this off and it'll come back as a full drive shaft in a couple of days. Distributor's hooked up. I put a little bit of fuel in the carburetor, so if it'll start, got my oil pressure gauge. Make sure it's still good. What do you think? Think she'll go? It's got oil pressure, so we can give her a little bit of revving. Maybe not. Come on. Oh, must have a timing issue. Or a firing issue. Yeah, we got a timing issue. It needs a little more. I'll bring it back. Okay, I gave her a little cranky crank. Eyeball a few more degrees in it. I'm thinking she'll go no problem now. Oh yeah. She sounds pretty good. So, exhaust manifolds are just lame, no matter how you cut it. Has oil pressure, runs good. I don't know if I said it or not yet, but I'm going to be getting those fender well headers tonight, late tonight. I got to go meet a guy at like, I don't know, 11 or 12 o'clock. as he's passing through town, going home for Christmas. It works out good for me. So Josh is loaning me, he's just not getting them back, his fender well headers and some like NASCAR exhaust mufflers. It'll be ridiculous. It won't be any quieter than this. I want to put those on just for the time being, at the very least. And so I think that'll probably be the next project, because I just love stupid exhausts. I know a lot of you guys wanted to keep the ram horns, and ram horns aren't cool. I don't know how else to put that. And a set of fender wells would be sweet. So all that work done the inner fenders, we'll chop those all out, get a set of nice fender wells on there, get some exhaust hung, and get a drive shaft cut. And like I said, on Wednesday, so it's today Sunday, a couple days from now, hopefully radiator will be here. Put a radiator in, figure out some sort of drive system, and then we're good. Then we're just waiting on brakes, and then we can drive it. Oh, I'm excited. Man, this thing was so beat. Now we're going to be driving out of the garage in a week. Alright, I'm done for now. I'm going to get something to eat, and I will see you guys in the next video.